Meeting to order. First item on the agenda is the citizen comments. Do we got any?
No one has shown up to make comments, and as of noon today, we do not have anything online.
All right, I'd like to entertain a motion on adoption of the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, if I could add an item.
Yes, sir.
Under section 5, item number 3, if we could. AOA properties easement, Mr. Niles will be sharing an update on the middle school, but an easement that is needed, the board's signature to move forward.
All right.
Motion to approve is amended.
All right, we got a motion by Mr. Smith, got a second by Mr. Mitchell. Any questions, comments? All those in favor? All right, first item on the agenda is qualifying fees for the 2021 municipal election. Dr. Williams and Mrs. Jordan.
Every couple of years, we get the pleasure of having Ms. Jordan with the city come and give you an update of what's required on your part for those of you that are up for re-election later this calendar year. That would be Dr. Ramsey and Chairman Stewart. So, Ms. Jordan, I will hand it over to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for allowing me to be here, and happy New Year on February 1st. My first time seeing you all, so hope everybody's doing well. I'm here today to speak with you about the elections. We know that the city of Gainesville is going to hold our next regular scheduled election on November the 2nd, and that will address the school board members for seats for District 1 and District 4. And we have completed our first task in that we have set and published the qualifying fees, and that had to be done by February the 1st. In your agenda packet, you have a copy of Business Resolution 2021-05, which sets the qualifying fees for the school board members at $174.60. This calculation is based on the formula that the state requires us to use and based on information that was provided by your finance director. The resolution also authorizes the city clerk's office to qualify the candidates. And you also have in your packet a copy of the public notice that was published in the newspaper in the Times on Wednesday, January the 27th. I did want to mention a few dates that you might want to keep in mind. You should anticipate that there'll be another election advertisement in July or August. And that one is the more detailed notice that gives all the specifics. We'll make sure that we send a copy here to your office so that you can have a copy of it as well. The qualifying dates are set for August the 16th, 17th, and 18th in the administrative building where my office is at. And that would begin at 8:30 and end at 4:30 each day. The last day to register and be eligible to vote in the November election is October the 4th. Election day is November the 2nd. And should there be a need for a runoff, then that would be on November the 30th. Okay, and then I also wanted to mention that the city is launching a new website. So with that launch of the new website, the election page is going to change some. We'll be encouraging anyone who is interested in the election process to go to that election page for the most current information, and we would also encourage you to do that as well. And then the last thing I wanted to mention is in regards to campaign disclosure reports. You know that once you reach a certain threshold that you have to file campaign contribution disclosure reports. All of you have an affidavit of exemption on file. So that means that until you collect more than $2,500, or spend more than $2,500 during this election cycle, then you don't have to file any reports. Once you exceed that threshold, you need to start filing reports, and those reports will be filed in the Easy Vote software that you were trained on last year. I've also provided, and I think it was at the sheets at your seat. Okay. Yes, you have 2 handouts at your seat. And so the first one is just a copy of the affidavit of exemption, just to remind you of what those thresholds are and who you need to start filing. And then the second one is a reminders and tips in regards to using the Easy Vote campaign software. The website we go to, how to log in, some tips for getting to the reports. And of course, if you have any issues, you're more than welcome to contact the clerk's office, and we'll be happy to help you.
All right, are there any questions of Mr. Jordan?
Just a question for the good of the order. Denise, once the certified census is with us, all local governments then have the option of redistricting or reapportioning based on the growth or shrinkage of the census.
Yes, that's correct.
This, we will be subject to that, as well as the city council line, effective January 1, 2022. Is that correct?
Well, the effective date would depend on how quickly we're able to go through the redistricting process and adopt our new boundaries. So what we would do is we would get the census data and we would start working on the reapportionment process and go through the process to set the new boundaries. And in that ordinance that sets the new boundaries would also establish the effective date.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions?
Thank you.
All right, thank you so
We'll
much.
see you in 2 years.
Yes.
Mr. Jordan, you are more than welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting. However, if you want to get home to your family, I don't blame you.
Well, I think I will take you up on the ladder. Thank you very much. I hope you all have a great meeting. And of course, if you need me, you know where to find me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And Mr. Chair, we have a leadership hall.
Yes, if you would please introduce yourself, tell us what organization you're with.
I am Jamie Reynolds. I'm the Executive Director at CSU Integrated Early Learning, and I work with Mr. Williams. And this is part of my homework, so thank you for having me here, and I will just sit back in the corner and be quiet.
And you may have picked one of the shorter meetings, so
Yes.
you can tell the rest of your colleagues there that they missed one.
Jamie, if you'll get an agenda,
Yes,
and
please.
Mr. Mitchell will autograph it for you.
He is the life force at CSU, so we are very grateful to have him as part of our organization.
Good to have you here this evening.
Thanks. Thank you.
All right, Dr. Williams.
Yeah, as we do each year, you will be receiving an email, I believe, at 8 o'clock this evening, and not at 7:30. I forget what time I scheduled the email to go out. But you'll be getting an email later this evening. Same one as we had last year. We also have some cabinet members that are part of the secondary committee that will be completing that board self-assessment survey as well. So that is forthcoming here just in the next hour or two.
I was under the impression that you got up at 5 o'clock every morning on Monday. to fire off.
I used to, until they started with, Google has a nice little reporting feature in there that you can schedule it ahead of time.
We thought you were a harder worker than.
But I used to be, and then once that came, I no longer have to think at 5 o'clock anymore. I can just get up.
Work smarter, not harder.
That's right. So the last item here, as far as item information is concerned, Ms. Pepple's not able to be with us this evening, but each year she brings to you the timeline of what we anticipate seeing each year. And so with the budget timeline, you will notice that it is very similar to last year. The dates have changed slightly. The first part that we do internally, that Ms. Peppel meets with each of the principals, and we start some conversations, preliminarily speaking, as far as how they're spending over the current year, what changes we may be looking at for next year. And then our departments during this month will continue to look at their budgets and what's changing and what's not changing. And then we'll continue to bring information to you over the next couple of months. The biggest change that we see coming this next year is we are happy that 60% right now on some preliminary budgets of our austerity will be back into our budget. So that will definitely be just a grateful opportunity for us to receive some of those funds that we anticipated to lose in this year's budget. But the other side that we know will be coming into next year's budget is TRS. The local contribution is going to go up almost 1%, I think 0.75%. So that's going to be an added cost to the district. that we will have to find ways to pay for that. So we're very early in the stages. We've had a lot of preliminary discussion about what it's going to look like, what the austerity impact will be for us. Also, trying to balance out how to plan for a second middle school. We don't want to wait 2 years from now when a new second middle school comes on board, and we're responsible for bringing a lot of new personnel on at one time. And so we'll be looking at ways to get some of that personnel on earlier, such as the principal, maybe an additional counselor or graduation coach, so that they can be embedded with the current middle school, so that when we do split, there's some familiarity between the employees and the students there, and the families and community as well. So all of that's going to kind of go into our budgeting process. We'll be glad to have a future work session on some of these items as we move closer and closer to budget season. So that is a report from Ms. Pepper.
All right. Mrs. Collins, if you would approach, she's going to give us the first reading of policy JBC, defining what a homeless student is and what rights they have.
And so a lot of this, good afternoon, everyone. A lot of this is, this is some information that was given to me by our homeless liaison, Dr. Ursula Harris. And so there were some things that we needed to update, just parts of the policy that may not have been clear. I have also sent this policy to GSBA. They have reviewed it and looked at some of the proposed changes we have, and they have given us some suggestions and some feedback on it. So I ask that you approve it for first read tonight, and then we would bring it forward again, Dr. Williams, and
No approval is necessary tonight. We'll just bring it forward as an item of information, and then we'll let it sit for 30 days. So it'll be back in March.
so we'll post it out there for feedback, and of course, making sure that the principals also are able to share it with their school governance councils.
Does anybody have
Just a question, Priscilla, does this address, or is there a need to address homeless students who live outside the city limits?
It doesn't address it, I guess in a way it does, because it talks about their home origin school. And so if they had been with us and maybe moved out of district, that's always really been in the policy that, especially when they are high schoolers and needing to finish. So it's addressed.
It's in this section right here, transportation. Transportation may be provided to and from the school of origin. A lot of that depends on the time of the year. If you're really early in the school year and you're not necessarily settled in, it may be in the best interest for that kid to go to school where they now reside, or it may be that it's in the best interest for them to stay. Let's say they've been a student of ours for a number of years. We want to be able to help see them through the rest of that school year. That's typically a situation where the student stays with us. A lot of it has to do with vicinity. We do sometimes have to travel down to Beaufort or Flowery Branch or Cleveland or Brazelton to pick up students. But pretty much beyond that, we try to figure out what's in the best interest for the kids and help them
also
transition.
looking at the age of the student, of the child or the youth as well.
We have before, let's say a junior who is homeless and is now a little bit away from us. It's in the best interest probably to keep them until they can graduate high school. It's the most stable environment they have, and so we work with the families to make that happen. Sometimes we do, of course, provide the microbuses to transport a lot of those kids because our bus monitors can drive those to pick up students. I have been in a district before where we were able to give gas cards because the families were able to transport the kid back and forth. We are able to use some of our Title I set-aside homeless money to fund some of these transportation options that are there. So it's nice to have a little bit of a funding source to help some of our most vulnerable students.
The microbuses are called Elephant Express,
That's what I've heard.
as you know.
Great. I love it.
But our transportation department is wonderful at making sure that, they are able to transport those students as needed. So we are so appreciative, of the services that they offer for these families.
Any other questions of Mrs. Collins?
I intentionally called the microbuses so Mr. Smith can get his plug.
Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda are the new business action items. Reverend Niles.
Good evening. It is good to be here.
Before Mr. Niles gets started on some of the recommendations, the final pieces, this is just kind of want to remind the board kind of where we are in this process. You know, we've had a very busy year in many different ways for many different reasons. One of those, of course, is when the community supported our bond and SPLOST referendum. We were able to move forward with the Advanced Study Center. If you drive by the campus now, it's looking great. It's still scheduled to be completed this summer. Also, the board, we've approved the Media Center and Cafeteria building there. If you drive by the high school around the Horseshoe, you'll see masonry going up there. Now, we also, if you drive out McKever Road, the board has approved the new middle school that's out McKever Road. You'll see a lot of dirt being moved and a lot of rock being, I guess, blown up. It's probably the best term to use right now. And so now this is just the next step. This and one other item of the instructional building will be our final projects that we took to the community to support. We felt it was very important to, get moving on our projects. And the Student Activity Center is one that is a term that you may not hear in our area, but is definitely one that we were able to visit a few different places, Beaufort, Jefferson, Carrollton City, and then viewed some others as well. But the biggest part is when you look at what we're doing at the campus at Gainesville High School, our goal is to provide the best for all of our kids. And we do not want to put something out there that a kid is not going to be excited about. And so with the Student Activity Center, it is a location to really house our large scale programs. What we mean by that is our Big Red Machine with the band, our NJROTC program. Combined, there are over 400 students involved. Our football program, cross country, track and field, volleyball, soccer. You think about a building of being able to pull kids together. This is going to be an opportunity to do that. And so this is just the next step in where we are, just to give ourselves the ability to showcase Gainesville City, showcase events and host events in our area. Too many times we have to travel a pretty good distance for some track events, especially when it comes to some invitationals and so forth. Being able to utilize two different gyms, we'll have the ability to do that. And so this image here is the rendering that you see for the exterior of the building. The brick matches the brick that we have on the Advanced Study Center, as well as the Cafeteria and Media Center. So the tin is slightly off, but it is the same color brick. On the right side of the building, you have a gym with a viewing area for parents and friends. But then also above that, you do have a walking track that looks down over into the gym like you typically have in our current gym, the alumni gym now. And on the left side, you have locker room, meeting space, classrooms for many different things that are on campus. And then the top floor has your NJROTC building as well as the band. So we just look forward to this being kind of the first phase of our activity center and that complex of revamping where we are on the campus. This takes the place physically of where the previous alumni gym and the football annex were located. Right now, that is a laydown area for the Cafeteria and Media Center. But with the recommendation that Mr. Niles and I are making tonight, this is the next step in our projects that we have moving forward with SPLOST.
Great, thank you. And just before I get to the GMP, if you don't mind, real quick, let you know where we are on advanced studies and the kitchen, cafeteria, and media center. Advanced study center, windows are going in. Second fire vault, it's been installed this year in July. The city of Gainesville start requiring on all new buildings to do an additional fire vault, additional fire meter, water meter specifically for that. So we've gotten all that done. All brick, exterior brick is totally completed. All roof units, HVAC units has been installed and completed. We're about 90% complete with installing interior flumes and chutes for the HVAC system, duct system. It's coming along well. Kitchen, cafeteria, media center, all steel beams are 75% complete. Second floor decking is 100% complete. All steel roof joists and decking is done. Exterior walls are 30% complete. Interior first floor walls are 10% complete. Rough ends, electrical, mechanical, plumbing, all that's done and moving forward. So that building again is coming along well. We're excited about it. On the GMP for the Student Activity Center, again, followed all of the rules, protocol. Our contractor put it out on the street for a 30-day period. We received sealed bids on the 21st. Bids were open. And bids covers all of our item descriptions from earthwork all the way down to replacement, intercom system. It all comes in at $19,999,431. That is our GMP guaranteed maximum price for the building. Includes contingency and everything that may come up. Again, contingency and allowances, what we don't use, it's just our money. It stays with our general fund, but we have to allow and allocate for some of those funds.
I believe when you look at the recommendation of the GMP as a whole, about $10 million is between masonry, steel, HVAC, and electrical. I mean, that's just, some of that's driven by the cost of masonry right now. We felt, we budgeted 20 million for it. And so we felt like where we were, Carol Daniel and their team did a great job of getting some quality bids in.
Any questions of Mr. Donald?
Motion to approve.
Got a motion by Mr. Smith. Second. Got a second by Mr. Mitchell. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor? Motion carries. Anybody want to show Ms. Scott? Thank you, Mr. Niles, but probably don't need to go anywhere.
Okay.
Anybody want to show Ms. Collins any mercy and adopt her report?
Motion to approve.
Got a motion by Mr. Smith. Got a second by Dr. Ramsey. All those in favor? Okay, Reverend Niles. Item number 3, the AOA properties easement.
Yes, there at the new middle school site, we actually need 2 easements. One of them is from AOA Properties, who is the Catholic Church. This is the Catholic Church on Gould Drive. They're owned by a holding company. And so we had our attorney, Corey Kirby, draw up an easement. We need easement from them for a back retaining wall, the backside of the property that abuts their property. And so it is first a construction easement, then it'll be a permanent easement that we will maintain the wall. They've signed off on it and approved it. Mr. John Chavon from the Catholic Church. There's a little diagram that shows you exactly what the easement is. You have that, I think.
Mr. Stewart does. And
Okay,
this is also for the soil nails.
that's right, for a soil nail wall that penetrates about 20 feet into the bank. And then they drive these nails in that will actually hold the bank in place, and it's done in tiers. And then it'll be dressed up. It won't just look like a terrible concrete wall. It'll actually be dropped down in almost decorative tiers. We'll have to maintain it, of course. But anyway, the Catholic Church was really good in working with us on it and got it through their approval process, and they've done that. And so we just need the chairman's signature on it for tonight. I'll then return it to Corey Kirby, who will get it filed. We'll come to you again later. Doug Carter's working on an easement that we need a house along Gould Drive. Hall County has asked us to, for storm drain easement, they've asked us to increase driveway pipe diameter size that will allow more storm drain water to get through.
So the biggest thing about this is it's new for us. We've not had a retaining wall that had a soil nail, or I think this is going to have a couple of soil nails into it. So it's not going to disturb the top layer related to the easement of the property. It's going to be underground. And so that's where the easement is needed, is since we are driving the soil nail into their property, the easement is necessary. They've been great to work with.
And I need a motion to authorize the execution of the easement.
Motion to approve.
All right, we got a motion by Mr. Smith.
Second.
Got a second by Dr. Ramsey. Any other questions, Mr. Niles? All those in favor? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. House, one question with the blasting.
Yes.
Might that turn up a, large rock for the campus?
Actually, we have three.
Okay.
We do, we really do. We've actually got three very, very large rocks, that we actually set aside on the property that.
They're the ones right there on McKever when you drive by. They're massive.
Oh, yeah. And we've set them aside. The blasting so far is going well. We haven't had any exterior disturbances or complaints or anything like that. There is one blast that we'll do later on closer to McEver where we'll actually have to shut down McEver for a period of about 5-8 minutes.
I haven't heard anything.
Yeah, it's actually gone well. Again, neighbors, we did go out person to person, knocked on doors again, and told them that we would be blasting if, you know, they got rattled a little bit, that they would know what was going on. The blasting company has done a real good job, and they actually do curtain barriers. They put those up as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
Do we have any discussion items?
Just a few things. Mr. Chairman, this is School Counselors Week, and it's Dr. Williams so specified in his memo this morning. We do salute and applaud the work of all of our counselors, and our state representative, Mr. Dubnik, has also filed a resolution honoring school counselors, for which we are grateful, and I hope you will share the resolution with all of the counselors. It's quite well done, and we thank Mr. Dubnik. Two things from the General Assembly that should be on our front burner as we try to monitor the movement there. Number one is a large number of, the governor has recommended a large number of buses, 500, and this is quite an increase in the normal bus buy at from the state level, which helps us. So at some point, Mr. Miles will need to see what prospects we have out of the 500 and whether it can be helpful on our own bus buy that we do each spring. There have been no negative comments of the governor's proposal, so it seems like it will be approved effective July 1. Secondly, there's a pretty wide discussion about broadband equity in the statewide. We know we have some pockets, some large pockets of the state that do not have the broadband capability. This has gotten the legislators more attention because of telehealth matters, trying to schedule vaccines, trying to schedule distance medical appointments, in addition to the virtual schooling that we have been aware of, but the health issues have gotten their attention more and more. Ms. Hobson had reported to us several months ago that what I thought she said, we have pockets of no coverage here. Will you correct me, please?
We have very few but small pockets where there is not an option to be served by broadband. The Department of Education at the state level is monitoring this and has been doing studies. In fact, what I was reporting before was the study that the department has been doing to understand where those pockets are. We in this district have a slightly larger issue in that we have a number of family members who, even if there's an opportunity to purchase it, they may not have the means in order to do so. We are aware of families who have other needs that we need to address.
Does any neighborhood or subdivision or street come to mind that has no broadband service?
To be honest with you, when we looked at it, and we did look down at the street level, what we saw was that it was mostly industrial rather than being residential areas. And for that reason, I'm sorry to say I can't recollect.
I remember it was 97% of
I
the
know.
city
Yeah,
had coverage.
97%.
97%.
Okay. So having coverage still does not guarantee that a student has access to that coverage.
correct. We continue to look at our options and ways in which we can serve our families better. We're in very, very early exploration of whether or not we could take advantage of the federal E-rate program to be able to create a network of our own to be able to distribute internet to our families.
This is headed toward the finish line. There will be lots of money to cover, or attempt to cover broadband services statewide.
Any other discussion
I'm
items?
sorry, I have one other thing. We all know and recognize and mourn the fact that our own Darrell White passed away, our assistant principal at Monday Mill. Just so you'll know, Monday Mill is planning an appropriate memorial for Mr. White. Later on, I believe maybe they will have an announcement for us to share in April when it's Monday Mill's time to be in the spotlight. So we will be attuned to that.
We'll be recognizing Mr. White and his contribution to Gainesville City at that time. We felt like it would be better to do it in an environment where more of his colleagues could share in that tribute.
And obviously, we can't forget one of our honorary diploma recipients, Gene Marlowe, passed away. I believe it was Sunday night.
Last
month.
And then also Mickey Long a
Yes.
couple weeks ago as well. So we lost 2 honorary diplomas.
Big supporters of
Huge.
Well, at this time, I guess we'll adjourn for our education.
Motion to adjourn for training.
Yes. Second. Got a motion by Mr. Smith, second by Mr. Mitchell. All those in favor? Thank you all.